cafe anywhere.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I got my total Chuck Schumer look happening right now with the bald head and the glasses like halfway down my face. You got it.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's because I've got LASIK eye surgery and that helps me see things far away, but now my close-up vision is all blay, and I don't like it. So that's my song. Hope you liked it. That's it. Nothing rhymed in that song, did it? I tried.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I certainly tried, and I certainly tried to get you a podcast yesterday. But that was not
Mike's
possible.
Daily
Did not come to fruition.
Podcast.
And that's all I have to say.
Yeah!
I you know what? There's only so much yours truly, Mike Matthews, can do. But I did learn. I learned a lot yesterday. I was talking with my lovely lady friend, who is a therapist, and she brought up something that I found very fascinating. I did not know. A term that I'm going to tell you about in a moment. I just heard a very, very interesting interview with a guy who studies Russia, studies Putin, and he says a couple interesting things. If you want to catch it, I hate to say this, but I heard it on Terry Gross's show. Look her up in the podcast world. Not that she has... does she need any more podcast listeners? No. But I will say this, that her show, very informative, and not a bunch of blabbermouthers trying to put down one political party or the other and blame... I heard somebody blame Biden today for the war in Russia. Come on. That does nobody any good. Besides, if that were a Republican president, you wouldn't dare do that. So, anyway, let's stop all that.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Please. Hey, the podcast picture today is wonderful, and you should look at it. It's at MikesDailyPodcast.com. It's one of the good things that came out of my trip to Florida, which was not an enjoyable trip in the sense that I had lost my mom. And I'm thinking a lot about that today. I saw some pictures of her from when I got to see her, the last time I got to see her back in October. And we had such a good time. I was very blessed to have seen her. I was blessed to have talked to her a few days before she passed. Oh, the late great Basil the Boxer. He met my mom. Yes, he did. So maybe they're hanging out in heaven together. Yes. You have fun with her up there, Basil. So here's the thing. I saw a picture of her, and I saw her in October, and you know, I've been trying to rationalize this because it was due literally. I mean, I still need to get the medical records, and that's another thing. That's taking forever. But from what I had heard from the doctor before all this went down is that all the smoking for all the years, all her 82 years, finally caught up with her and caused circulation issues. Now, that's a fact, but when I look at those pictures from October, I'm like, this woman looks fit. This woman looks happy. Look at that smile. This woman is not near death's door. What's going on here? And as I said in a previous podcast, it had to do, or I don't know if I even said this yet. Well, maybe I did or didn't. I don't recall, but it was a fractured hip that caused everything to start going bad. She fell down and fractured her hip. Now, the doctor told me when people of a certain age or people that have circulation issues like my mom did, when they fall and they fracture a hip, it's already incredibly, it's a horrible injury for a young person. For an older person, a senior person who's not in the best of health from years of smoking, it's just not going to, it can lead to all, the survival rate was 50%, I think is what he said. Had she survived and complications didn't set in, she would have been looking at about 3 months of therapy, of rehabilitation, physical therapy, and trying to get back to be able to walking again. Now, I think I've mentioned this in previous podcasts. My mom had her left leg amputated about 5 years ago, and I found it fascinating and impressive and inspiring that she had spent almost 6 years walking around with one leg missing. I mean, just all of the complications. That's not easy. Not easy for a fit person to do. So, she's a very impressive woman, and I'm sad this all happened to her. And it's just been hitting me hard today. So, and then things happened at work that were a bit upsetting. Some really petty things came to light that were thrown on my plate because I'm a manager. Really petty stuff that I don't have time for these days. And a normal person, anybody who's going through what I'm going through, no one would put up with this. So that, along with everything else, made for a bad day yesterday. I did not want to do a podcast yesterday. So, being that this is a independent podcast that yours truly puts together with his time, I thought I'll just take a day off, and I hope you'll understand. But it is Mike's Daily Podcast, so hopefully we'll get back in the rhythm of things and not get interrupted like we sometimes do. But here we are at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth. And what episode is this anyway? Did we Cafe Anyway? I believe this is episode 2389. So one of the good things about going to Florida, the scenery, I love the scenery, and I'm going to throw a picture of one of the happy moments on MikesDailyPodcast.com as we go outside a Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth. So what is the window of tolerance? My lovely lady friend was telling me, because I was getting quite upset yesterday because of everything going on. And she said, well, your window of tolerance has gotten very small. I'm like, what's that? She says, well, she didn't say this, but goodtherapy.org said this. Goodtherapy.org said, window of tolerance is a term used to describe the zone of arousal in which a person is able to function most effectively. When people are within the zone, they are typically able to readily receive, process, and integrate information and otherwise respond to the demands of everyday life without difficulty. This optimal window was first named as such by a guy named Dan Siegel. When a person's within their window of tolerance, it's generally the case that the brain is functioning well and can process stimuli and petty stimuli and likely to be able to reflect, think rationally, and make decisions calmly without feeling either overwhelmed or withdrawn. During times of extreme stress, people often experience periods of either hyper or hypo arousal. Now, yours truly goes the hyper arousal route. It's the fight or flight response. And I told you about when I first heard my mom's was, not going to make it. I had the fight or flight thing happen. And basically this lasted for a day because I still had no concrete word on whether she was going to make it or not. But I was like, that lasted for a whole day, and I'm feeling this fight or flight response the whole day and not sleeping. And it's often characterized by hypervigilance, feelings of anxiety and or panic, and racing thoughts. That's yours truly. Now there's hypo arousal. Hypo. It's a freeze response, like a deer in the headlights look. It may cause feelings of emotional numbness, emptiness, or paralysis. And I know people like that, but it's fascinating to me. Emotional numbness, emptiness, or paralysis. See, in my mind, that means, okay, well, you're wasting time. You could be spending time trying to fix the situation. But instead, people just go completely blank stare, and just sit and just zone out. Look at stupid news reports on their phone, on their smartphone, read texts, go on social media, zone out. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But that affects so many people. In either of these states, an individual may become unable to process this stimuli effectively. The prefrontal cortex region of the brain shuts down, in a manner of speaking, affecting the ability to think rationally and often leading to the development of feelings of something that's called dysregulation. That's dis with a D-Y-S. Not deregulation like what Reagan did with most of everything and the media. That's right. He deregulated in the media to an extent, although the FCC looks at all kinds of ridiculous things in radio. But yeah, deregulation. No, this is dysregulation, which may take the form of chaotic responses or overly rigid ones. In these periods, a person can be said to be outside of the window of tolerance. By the way, Putin, this guy I was talking about earlier, who has analyzed Putin for years, says he doesn't look well. And it may have to do with all of the COVID that hit his country. But he in his words, did not look well. So will he... Now, this expert said that he didn't think he would use the bomb or go nuclear because he has family. That's how he rationalized it. He said it's very improbable, but he also said that Putin is, he's doing this because he has the power to, and he's been in power for 20 years. And how did he put it? Oh, you'll just have to listen to it. It was fascinating. But he did point out that he's making a lot of mistakes now. And that seems to be hitting a lot of media these days, that his troops they were basically not as fit as people thought. They were sent to the front lines, and they were sent to the front, and they were basically not as prepared for various reasons. Well, just wanted to bring that out. Managing the window of tolerance. I just wanted to jump to this real quick. It is possible for individuals who have become dysregulated to use techniques to return to their window of tolerance. There's grounding and mindfulness skills, techniques considered beneficial by many mental health experts that can help people remain in the present moment by focusing on the physical sensations currently being experienced. I was talking about something because I was talking about a topic similar to this recently about the mantra saying that this too shall pass. In this article, however, it says, people are often able to remain in the present, calming and soothing themselves enough to effectively manage extreme arousal. These techniques and others can be learned in therapy, because this is a website called goodtherapy.org. Many individuals are able to widen their window of tolerance, and by doing so, increase their sense of calm and become able to deal with stress in more adaptive ways. Therapy, which provides a safe place for people to process painful memories and emotions, can be a helpful step for many. With the help of mental health professionals, individuals are often able to make contact with their emotions without becoming so dysregulated that they cannot integrate them. Increasing emotional regulation capabilities in this way can lead to a wider window of tolerance and prevent dysregulation. There you go. So all that I find fascinating. The sanctioned banks and a sinking ruble are upending the Russian expat finances. Blacklisted financial institutions, increasing capital controls are throwing into chaos the financial lives of people who live, work, and study globally. The sanctions are targeting Russia's largest banks, biggest companies, and richest people, but they also have a knock-on effect on everyday Russians living abroad. The expats. They don't have private jets or wealth managers. They are accustomed to easy online banking and cheap currency conversions. Now, they're not sure what to do to send goods and money home. Russian expats around the world are having trouble accessing their bank accounts, continuing business with the country, sending money back home. Yeah. So that's having an effect. Oh, and then the French. So Macron will talk to Putin. And apparently Macron then says, oh, the worst is still yet to come. Thanks. Thanks a lot. That's really helpful, Macron. Wow, you are such a help. Oh, but this Putin, he is crazy. Did you know that? He is not normal. I can make fun of French because I got some French in my bloodline, okay? A little. Plus, Mom was excellent, spoke French excellently. She studied at the Sorbonne and probably would never say excellently because I don't think that's a real word. Inside Putin's inner circle, there are 10 Russian oligarchs that are mentioned in Insider International, and they are being hit by sanctions, the oligarchs. As the CEO of El Rosa, a state-backed diamond mining company, is getting hit. Nikolai Platonovich Patrushev, he's the secretary of the Russian Federal Security Council and another longtime close associate of Putin per the Treasury. He's getting hit. So anyway, there the Igor Ivanovich Shekin, he is the CEO of Rosneft, and he's one of the world's largest oil companies. The oil baron has been called the second most powerful man in Russia after Putin. He's getting hit. So all these people, wow. Yeah. Oh, and Russian TV. That's right. Oh, let me look that up real quick. Russian TV, that RT. Did you ever watch that? RT News. Now, they're still online. They still got podcasts. They still got world news. But the news about them, their America division is permanently shut down. And this according to Fox News, which is interesting because sometimes they sound the same. They lay off staff as Russian-Ukrainian crisis escalates. 120 other staffers were let go. Yeah, how is that even on the air? That blows my mind. You know, people watch that and have no idea that it's run by Russia. And I remember somehow they bought up all these channels on a lot of cable boxes. So people would watch it and go, oh, it's here. It must be good. It looks all flashy and nice and good looking people and snazzy sets. Very snazzy. Yeah, so RT America has ceased production as a result of unforeseen business interruption events. All their locations would be ceasing production, and given their anticipation that the layoff would be final, it will result in the permanent separation from employment of most TNR employees at all locations. Separately, the National Association of Broadcasters issued a statement earlier urging other broadcasters not to carry Russian-sponsored programming in light of the conflict. So there you go. It's even affecting media. Look who else is here. Look who's here. Hello, Michael Mash. It's Madame Rootabega, and I am not Russian. Ooh. Well, with that accent, I didn't with the accent. Thought maybe, possibly you might be. I'm not. Ooh. Okay. Do you like to eat borscht? Yes. That's it. Borscht makers are going to get hit too. Do you like to eat souffle? Yes. Do you like party snacks? No. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, the weekend's almost here, and I'm really happy.
Yeah, we're really happy. Do you know that? Good, let's wrap up the show. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer. You can chime in about anything we covered. 336mm daily. 3 + 3 = 6. Is in Mike Matthews daily, as in what this podcast will try to be. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!